Hello, my beautiful humans, and welcome to the Becoming Human 2.0 Unscripted Podcast. I am your host, Paul McFadden, and it is my mission to create global impact and cultivate real connections through having authentic conversations that matter. Today, I'm joined by my special guest, Vinaya Siff, another beautiful human from Germany, currently residing in Peru, but a true citizen of the universe. In this episode, we discuss awakening the nomadic spirit, an open conversation on conscious living. And of course, this conversation was completely unscripted. Here's a quick peek, and then we'll jump right into the conversation. So enjoy. And remember, we are all here to discover, awaken, and evolve together.
The trick is then to understand, hang on a second here. I can observe my body. I can observe my mind. I can observe my emotions. So obviously I'm none of these. Obviously I'm the one who's watching the story. And when one experiences that, not intellectually, but actually experience the disidentification with the body, the mind, and the feelings, and is in that space of watcher where nothing happens.
Right.
That guy is just watching.
Right.
That is bliss. That is being in meditation.
Hello there.
Hey,
Where are you from, Anaya?
different planet, but
Different planet, I'll take it. We all are.
I arrived in Germany.
Awesome. Very nice. Where are you located now?
Right now I'm in Mexico. Tomorrow I'm off to Peru.
Okay.
And yeah, then probably
Awesome.
back to Mexico. It's all very fluent.
Very fluid. So the digital nomad lifestyle.
Yeah, I was a nomad before digital happened, mind you, but
Before digital happened. In modern times, we'll call it digital nomad in modern times, but certainly a nomad in your karmic life. I understand. Good. I'm glad we had the opportunity to connect. Thank you for raising your hand. Um, the response was a little overwhelming initially. Like a lot of people raising their hand, and these that's a great thing. Yeah, asking you shall receive. That's how it turns out. So I'd really just love to get to know you and hear about you and your journey and how that, not 50,000 foot, you don't have to give me the entire backstory, but certainly give me a 50,000 foot view. And then we can talk a little bit about the podcast and how that would best serve the audience that would be listening.
cool. Life story. I was born in Germany. I tried for 20 years to be a good German. Did all the things I was supposed to do, and nothing really felt right.
Got it.
And at one point, I had this inspiration to just take off, and I took off to India in
Okay.
search of, I don't know what, but there must be more to life than just doing the 9 to 5 number. That was my understanding. And so I took off to India, and I traveled around for quite a few years and always searching without even knowing what to search for, but basically having a good time. And then I met Osho. And the one thing which I got from that is actually basically just, wow, yes, there is more to life than meets the eye. And then I started meditating, starting workshops where I got rid of my programming, so to speak. And in the meantime, I was already a little bit psychic, so to speak. I'm not sure how to say it actually. Psychic might be the wrong word, but I always knew different or could see things different. And at one point, I found a book. I was in the Himalayas, and I got a book, the Book of Thoth, about
Okay.
tarot. And I go, oh wow, that's for me. So I did that a little while, but that didn't quite work for various reasons. And since I was 16, I was a crystal freak, going crystal hunting and working with crystals and all of that. So I suddenly became aware to use crystals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started reading people through the help of crystals.
Mm-hmm.
And my main thing, that's not quite true, but one of my main things in life is helping people to go on the path and give them a little bit of a insight in the next step they have, because it's individually totally different.
Mm.
Some needs to get rid of trauma, some needs to do some shadow work, some da da da
Yeah.
da. There's so many things. And basically, being an example of life is absolutely fucking fantastic, so to speak. And enjoying life and helping people to do that and
Mm-hmm.
being in the present.
Yeah, I love the leading people along the path and just helping people enjoy life. I think there is not enough of that in this experience and this manifestation that we're all experiencing. I think that a lot of people are waiting for someone to save them or someone to change the world around them for them, and not willing to either make the effort, do the exploration, do the self-healing work, or just
Yeah,
do the reflection to try to figure out what is it within me that's inside of me that's causing my perspective to be so chaotic of what's
right.
happening externally, and what can I do about it. I think there's people certainly talking about what that journey looks like and the path for change looks like, but it's not enough people taking action
That's
and putting in. I'm going to say putting in the work. It shouldn't be looked at as work. It should be looked at as the growing or the growth experience, so that we can change and transform ourselves and move towards that golden nugget or that gold ball of evolution, whatever that looks like, right? But I look at it as it's transformation and creation.
yeah.
And we transform and change every 6 months, so shouldn't the rest of us?
One change
Yeah.
every 10 seconds if it comes to that. Well, not necessarily anymore, but actually we do change every 10 seconds. And
Yeah.
you said one thing is there's no about somebody to save me. There's nobody
Mm,
who can save me. It's
mhm,
I only can do that. I have to make the effort. I have to become aware and conscious. I have to be
mhm.
in the present.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is challenging because the tohuwabohu on Circus Planet Earth. Uh, and that's where I really can help people, because for some reason I'm able to connect with their higher self. And so they tell me through
Hmm.
my mouth
Gotcha.
what would be the next step to become more aware, more conscious, more being able to create the life I want to create. And
Hmm.
mom and dad and society and religion told me what I have to do. No,
Right.
I. And bringing people on the path, it's like we cannot change the world. We can only change ourselves, and that's difficult enough.
Interesting. That's difficult enough. And I love what you're saying. I firmly believe that we are the architects
Yeah,
of our experience. We just have to realize that we are.
yeah,
So there's the awakening to that awareness of it. And then there's the awakeningness to, okay, so what do I have the full potential to actually do? And so there's that experience. And then there's the whole integrating and moving forward of actually living those experiences and integrating those experiences into our in practices, whatever those might be, into our lives, so
yeah.
that we're able to enjoy the full benefit of that creation. Um,
Which is amazing. It's amazing. I
exactly.
mean, yeah. And it's a joy to see people actually taking the steps and becoming more aware and
Mm.
self-conscious, so to speak.
Yeah.
And when I said nobody can save me, like when I met Osho afterwards, I often said, Osho gave me my freedom.
Mm. Mm.
Later I understood, wait a minute, no. Osho gave me the opportunity to take my freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just by being in his presence and also doing the work. And it's so important for all of us to really step into our own power,
Yeah.
into our own being. And being of assistance in that is the only thing which is left to do for me, actually, really, after partying and traveling all my life for 50 years. At one point, it's getting boring. But this joy and the ability to be, it might sound egoistic, but it's like being a light for other people. Oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that guy can do it. I can do it too.
No, exactly. That's always the amazing thing. If you think about it anciently, when one person in our society could do something, that meant that other people had the ability to do it. Whether or not they believed it or not was one thing, but everyone had the ability to do
Yeah.
it. And then I love the example. It's just being so that other people can see other people being. If you can be, why can't I be? It's just a matter of can we inspire the question? If you can be, why can't I be?
You
Right?
can. You just have
And
to
you
do
can, right? Just, you can, but one you have to, and it's more than just believing you can. You have to know you can.
Yeah, you have to experience
Mm.
when you do little steps, like
Yeah,
how life changes.
yeah,
And because believing is not knowing.
exactly.
But the knowing comes through the experience. And
Mhm.
when I see people, I give them a specific meditation for them or a specific awareness exercise. And they come back like a day later and go, wow, man, it changed everything.
Mhm.
Wow. And this felt experience gives them the taste and the juice to go on.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So you indicated you were a speaker. What topics do you typically speak on when you're called to do?
How to wake
Hmm.
up.
How the way do tell.
And I'm a coach. I coach people through over time,
Mhm.
coaching them. And I do crystal readings, like I said. But basically, it is talking about how easy it actually is and how wonderful it is.
Right.
We are in the present and aware.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've been meditating maybe a little less than you, maybe about 10 years now formally. And I went down the transcendental meditation route, but I meditate twice a day, every day, and it's been very consistent. And obviously, there's more awareness that comes from the meditation or the ability to meditate and allow things to pass through, and you get insight into the experience, experiencing consciousness at multiple levels. And when I think about the human experience, I break it down. The reason why I break it down to it sounds like it's very simple. I'm like, oh, it's discover, awaken, and evolve. There's three phases, and it looks like this.
The way it is simple and yeah.
And it's the waking up. And I did some work in purpose. And one of the first characteristics of the first values that came up to me, which was the strongest, was awakening spirit in others. And in bringing, in like you, bringing people to the point where they can wake up. And that starts with the awareness, but then but open your eyes. Or open your eye, one or the other, but open your eyes and see, and not just look at, but see what's happening around us. And that only happens when people are able to get present.
And I would love to share an insight, if you
Mm.
would.
Mhm.
Because when we say we are meditating, the Knusus Knaxus there is we're still doing something.
Yes. Mhm.
And being in meditation means there's nothing happening. And the biggest insights or experiences came through being the watcher. And
Yeah.
when people understand that whatever I can observe has to be outside of me,
Hmm.
I need to be separate from what I'm observing. Make
Hmm.
sense? If
I
I was
love that.
the computer I'm looking at, I wouldn't see the computer. I have to be
Right.
outside, separate from the computer to be able to see that, to observe it. And the trick is then to understand, hang on a second here. I can observe my body.
Mm-hmm.
I can observe my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I can observe my emotions. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I'm none of these. Obviously, I'm the one who's watching the story. And when one experiences that, not intellectually, but actually experience the disidentification with the body, the mind, and the feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and is in that space of watcher where nothing happens,
Right.
that guy is just watching.
Right.
That is bliss. That is being in meditation. And once
Mm-hmm.
you learn that little knack, you can do that while you're on the bus or on the toilet or
Anywhere.
eating
Anywhere.
or what.
Exactly.
It's like just stepping into this watcher space and wow. And then it's like what I love to say is it's not that I am in pain. There is pain.
There is pain. Yeah.
I'm not angry. There's
Mm-hmm.
anger.
Yeah.
And there's an experience of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just observing it. And then
Right.
suddenly I have no problems. It's just
Yeah. I often tell people that we're here to experience the full range of emotions. It's part of why we're in this experience, is to experience all of it.
yeah.
And so it's not useful for us to judge the experience, because that's one of the reasons why we're here, is to allow that experience to pass through us, that we all collectively as one, and being of the same and being the one singular consciousness that we just feel disconnected from because we have these
Thing.
biological
Yeah.
vessels. um, but the beauty of 8 billion people, or if you look at all life, so more than just that, but just looking at it, classifying it from a human being perspective, 8 billion people experiencing the emotions, right? Consciousness or the universe or however you want to name it, gets to have that experience. And we, like, well, we're here watching, right? I love the analogy, we're the watcher, because we are outside of this. And I always ask people, so when you observe it, who's doing the observation?
That's the question.
That's the question. Right?
And intellectually, it's clear, it's
Mhm.
consciousness and it's
Mhm.
awareness. And but experiencing that. And
Mhm.
it's like you say, we're here to experience all these emotions. Yes, the trick is not to be identified with them. That I think is very important in my book because
Yeah.
once I'm identified with them, then I'm in trouble.
Then you're in trouble. And you get
That's
stuck in them. And then you get stuck in them. And they drive everything that happens after that.
yeah.
And which is why it's so important to be able to understand that they're not us. And I think that there's a lot of people talking about that, I think. I feel like I keep hearing more and more people saying the same thing, maybe differently, or just from a slightly different perspective, which I think is beautiful, because I think there's not one right perspective. I think that we all collectively have a perspective, and it's going down the same path. How we get there, we get there. But once we get there and we have the experience, so now we know it's there. And all I want to do is guide and lead people in a direction that gets them there. I'm not even saying the right direction. It's in a direction to get there.
Their direction
Mhm.
because it's
Their
very
direction.
yeah.
Their direction.
Yeah.
I think everyone has their own individual, make it practical. Everyone has their own blueprint. And
Yeah, we do.
yeah. And what gets there, what gets you there, it
If
may be the same thing that gets me there, it may not be. It may be something different.
the challenge is what I see is that most people don't get there because they don't even question.
Yeah.
This is the way it is. This is the way I am. I'm miserable. I'm this. I'm that. Whatever. Okay, I have to deal with that. We need more of people who experience that freedom from oneself,
Hmm.
from the ego, freedom from the ego. I still have it. No, I have a good laugh at it all the time, but
Oh, yeah.
being really able to step back and be just present and the observer. in a
Mm.
space where nothing happens, no thoughts, no feelings, no action, nothing. We need more of this so that the whole planet can shift. And you heard of the 100 monkeys, I bet.
Yeah.
And so we need a few more monkeys.
Just a few more, but what I find interesting, and I've been observing this for the last couple of years, particularly post-pandemic, is that there are a lot more people that are talking about their personal search for meaning,
Mhm.
purpose, self-actualization, wanting or just feeling the urge or the sense or the energy of there's something more.
Yeah.
And they're starting to ask more questions. I think that we are at a precipice in our existence where there are a few things that are happening from a like technology perspective that we could be making some significantly negatively impacting decisions. I put it that way. And of course, and I have a sense that we've been here before. And it's interesting now because we're in this present moment, we're watching it happen, and we recognize it. It's okay. We have the ability to do all these things that we are programming, designing technology to do. Why won't we just, it's almost like we're being lazy. It's like, why won't we just ask the right what are the right questions? Why don't we just ask questions and challenge what we're experiencing and seek answers to the questions that we have deep down inside, but we are afraid to discuss in our own circles. It's one of the reasons why I started my tribe is because I'm in lots of groups. Left several communities. But the conversation, like the conversations I want to have, are conversations like this all the time.
Yeah, that's the only one worthwhile doing, whether or how it was yesterday or whatever. It's more like about who are you really? And what do you feel? What do you want?
Right.
What is right? What excites you? Yeah. And yeah, let's not get into technology because I do have experiences of some
Yeah.
interesting planets. But yeah.
Mm. I love the conversation. I'll just give you a little bit of my background just so that you have it. I started off, it's so funny because when you said not of this planet, I received that message for myself, I'm going to say 2 years ago, talking to a psychic medium who had no history or knowing of my background or where I came from other than knowing my name, but uh, was able to have conversation with some of my ancestors who were calling to that person to reach out to me.
Hmm.
And the person just happened to be my father's mother at the time. And I refer to her that way is because I didn't know her. She ostracized herself from the family, and there were reasons for that that was revealed after she passed away. But I always refer to her as my father's mother. And I'm having a conversation with this medium. She said, "Your father's mother wants me to talk to you, and she's standing right behind you." And I'm like, okay, so nobody's ever known. The only person I ever said my father's mother to are my parents, um, and my sisters. All of this is not associated at all. And what I was told was, you're not from here. You're from a different family. You were placed here to do something, to fulfill your purpose. You were here to do something that's bigger than anything you've ever done before. You just need to wake up to what you're being called to do. And I had already been on the purpose path for 6 or 7 years. So I'm thinking, I thought I had it all figured out. Apparently, I didn't. I was on the right path, but just not there. And I think, I don't know if you fully get there. I think you're called to do something and you do what you're called to do, and that fulfills you from a passion perspective. And then you're called to do something else. Sometimes you grow and you evolve you evolve in this experience. And then your calling gets bigger. Maybe I was called to teach and bring people down a path coaching, but then I got called to do something bigger than that. I got called to share large amounts of information, but to be able to make connections that people couldn't make easily, but make it seem like it was
Mm-hmm.
seamless and simple, and then convey that message in a very practical way. But then I was called to, like I said, awaken spirit, and that's bigger than the other things, and it's more about being able to see things in other people that they can't see, and just being
Right.
able to call it out in a way that it resonates. It resonates. You can see it. It's like click.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about myself. And yeah, and what else don't you know about yourself? Because that leads to the next question. And I want to find out too, because who knows what we all have the potential to do. I know I haven't reached my full potential, whatever that looks like. But I also know that the journey is fun. It doesn't seem like it sometimes in the moment, but it's
Well,
fun.
part of it. It's a duality, so it's part of it. And not being identified with either one doesn't really matter suddenly. Suddenly it's fun is maybe the wrong word. It's just like a wow experience. It's
Wow, maybe wow experience.
holy.
And I realized that the experiences I had all served a purpose. I was in the military and I got injured in the military. That served the purpose.
Yeah.
I was born to my parents in Washington, D.C. In 1970, in the height of the civil rights movement. That served its purpose. I was to teach. That served its purpose. I went down a road of working in whatever experience and struggling but then reached some level of success that served its purpose. I started business that served its purpose. But I always connected with people. And I always was always deeper than what it appeared on the surface. And I just had a feeling about people. At first I was like gut feeling, intuition. I was like, no, you can see the energy of people, and you recognize good energy when it's around you. You can feel it, you can sense it. Then there was a period of time where I felt like I was just a vessel to be able to contain people, right, in their energetic spaces and their energetic selves, particularly when they were not in an environment where they were comfortable. And I was able to give them comfort without even having to be next to them, but just see them and be like, "Get that person's a comfort right now," and make them feel a sense of someone's here with you and supporting you. But
And understand.
now I feel this calling to bring people together in a way so we can educate the masses and bring the right people together so that it's not hard, it's not difficult.
It's not.
People and people are primed. I think people are primed to listen right now. It's just
Yeah.
we gotta find the right messengers that resonate and are able to articulate, what we are perceiving as the experience and how everyone else can have the same or have a similar experience if they
Touch
just do
base.
a couple simple things.
Yeah, it's just being in the presence, and it's great to have more people together like this.
Mhm,
The impact is stronger, like the 100 monkey situation, right?
mhm.
The more there are, the more impact it has. And you don't even need to say anything really.
Mm,
When I do
mhm.
festivals and I give readings in festivals, and I don't even have time to have a lunch break because people just feel, and then it's, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I know. I've been on retreats and it's always interesting to go on a retreat someplace where there's like an energy vortex that exists, right? And so I've been in Costa Rica a couple of times and the energy just flows right through me. And there are opportunities. I've had glimpses where I've had experiences where I know it was my energetic self that was expressing
Yeah,
and not my physical self, just by what I was feeling, but what I had the capacity or capability to do and create energetically in the space. And in having those experiences, this shows to me that we have so much available to us. We haven't even tapped into the surface of that. And I'm not about to give it to technology.
what's that last thing?
And I'm not about to give it to technology.
No, 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 no way. It's
Mm-mm.
an interesting path that humanity walks down there with AI. But yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know what to say. It's
Yeah.
just amazing that we can do this. Amazing that we can just by being present and ourselves be of assistance. Even though we always say, I am, we are, I'm not doing anything. I'm just a channel. Because what do I know? I have
Right.
no clue whatsoever. But the higher self of the person does know, or existence does know. And when we look at like great poets or composers or Tesla invention and stuff, they all
Mm.
say, I had no clue. It just came. It was just there. And that again it's only possible when we are in a space of presence,
Mm-hmm.
not in our ego, just being present. And suddenly, like, a download comes. And oh, okay.
It was once something you said, you were talking about Tesla, and I was just thinking like there have been so many people historically that have tapped in, left clues, left messages about frequency and energy and understanding the ether and just pulling information from ancient wisdom because it's always existed. It's not like we're not creating anything new.
No,
It's
nothing new.
nothing new here. It's just it's like the awareness that is being created is different. And I think that more people, like I said, are in tune to it. They don't know what it is, but I think they're more in tune to it.
Yeah, and it's for me often is if my mind cannot explain it, I know it's
Mm,
absolutely right.
hmm
I don't actually.
I love that. My mind cannot explain it. I know it's absolutely right.
Yeah, it's like I give energy healings over long distance and put crystals on a table where I just visualize the person to be there, and then my mind goes, "Are you fucking nuts? Are you really believing that?"
Are you
I
really?
have to laugh because 5 minutes later, the person on the other side of the planet goes, "Wow, I really felt that."
Mm,
And then slow, so I understood that I don't understand, or my mind does not understand.
hmm
Not made for that. It's just made to repair a car or do the 3D things. But reality, mine has no idea about it, and it's fun
mm,
when your mind
mm.
goes like, "Are you nuts?"
Wow.
Yeah, I had that quite a few times, and then I just have to laugh because okay, I know already my mind goes crazy.
hmm
Certainly right what I'm doing.
It's got to
Sometimes
be absolutely right.
I give a reading, and then something comes out of my mouth, and my head goes, "You can't say that." But like a split second later, the person opposite me goes, "Wow, yeah, yes, that feels right."
Wow. Mm,
Or, "Yeah, I know that. I just forgot about that." And, "Oh, thank you." And but my
hmm
mind goes like, "Dude, shut the fuck up. This is like, can't say
Don't
that."
don't say any more. No, say more of that. That is intriguing. It is intriguing. I've been having some conversations lately with folks, and I was trying to explain to them human alchemy because I've made some connections with ancient alchemy being the elements that the science and the art of transforming metals, and then connecting that with spirituality and saying there's spiritual alchemy too, right? So there's the heart, mind, body, soul, and then God or whatever name we want to use for the higher power, right?
Right.
But the challenge that we have is that all those things still feel very ethereal because we read in history, we read about sages and prophets and shaman and wise men and shamanesses and what people would term as witches or whatever, talking about these things and achieving these states of self transcendence or enlightenment, if you will. But I'm like, how do you make the heart more tangible?
By
I
listening.
understand it's about our emotions, right? And it's about how we find balance emotionally in our emotional well-being. How do you balance the mind? That's more about how we balance our mental well-being. How do you balance the body? That's more physical and environmental. Let's make it practical because there's things we can do. There's
Oh yeah,
strategies, techniques, practices that
there's
we can implement.
definitely quite a bit of them. And balancing the mind, I'm just laughing at the mind. It's like
Mm.
we need to make the shift.
Mm.
That's German style. We need to,
We
but
need to, yeah.
it would be very beneficial to make the shift From the mind being the boss to the heart being the boss and the mind being the servant.
Yes.
When I left for India, I went to my parents and I go, I'm off to India. And I goes, you can't do this. I said, why?
How old were you?
I was 21.
Okay, gotcha.
You need to work, you need to get a pension and that. Otherwise, what do you do when you're old? Very good arguments. She was absolutely right. But the feeling was so strong that I had no choice. And I said to my mother, I figure out when I'm old what I'm going to do, but now I'm off to India. and then I had my mind figure out how to do this. Okay, you need to get these books, you need to get this and that, and then we need to start blah, blah, blah. So the mind suddenly becomes the servant.
Yes.
The heart becomes the boss.
Yes.
And if we can make that shift,
yes,
not listening to the mind, it's always right, but from the past and from society and stuff. But in reality, the heart is the only one, or the intuition or the gut feeling, whatever you want to say. That's the only part of us who actually knows. Because the mind works out of the past.
Exactly.
Like, my feeling goes to go to India. Yeah, no, you can't do this. You don't speak. Yeah, all good arguments. But the mind never been in India. So he has actually no clue how it is.
So true. So true.
Past, so I need to figure it out. Okay, I go to India and then I see what happens. Following my heart ever since. And I love that. I have a double F life.
I love that.
You know what that means?
No, tell me what that double F means.
Fucking fantastic.
I love it. I love it. I'm enjoying this conversation, and we can just talk about life, because I think there's so many experiences, and there's a lot of resonance. And I think to me, that's the most important thing. Literally, I'm recording this now. This could have been the podcast. It could have been the podcast. And that's fine, because we'll talk about something else, but it will be the same, and it won't matter because...
Doesn't matter, because yes, it doesn't matter.
It's going to be what people need to hear. That's the whole point. It's not prescribed. We don't have to have a specific topic in mind. We'll have a conversation, and it will be what it needs to be, because people need to hear that in the moment.
Yeah, and if one is in alignment, then what comes out is double F.
I love it. I love it. So what I'm doing is, here's what's interesting. Many of the conversations that I'm going to have, it's been a couple different ways to approach it. And I have a mentor that I love, because he shared a couple of things with me, and I'm like, let me think about it. I'll meditate on it, or I'll use my intuition to feel what seems right, because there's so many topics, and I chose the topics intentionally. The topic areas, those buckets, because the part of me was thinking maybe 1 month I might focus on emotional well-being. This month I might focus on consciousness and conscious living. And this month I might focus on this. But I really, right now, my gut's telling me don't do that. Just the conversations that are scheduled will be the conversations that are scheduled. And what will show up in that conversation is what people need to hear that week.
I love
that day.
I think I understood that your podcast is like
unscripted
conversations. And I love it, because yeah, it's just the only way.
It's the only way to do it. Being in the moment. And what comes up, and it doesn't have to be pretty, but I think that when you're having a conversation, like even now, I feel like I'm in a flow state. It's like we've been talking for 45 minutes almost, and I feel like we just got on the call. I feel like I'm talking to an old friend, and we just met.
It was 45 minutes already?
Yeah.
That was like 10 minutes or something.
That's what it felt like, because I feel like when there's a resonance, it goes.
Yeah.
Time is a construct anyway. That's something we've created in this 3D world, and really.
Yeah. You know that joke, somebody sits in meditation. I'm meditating for 2 to 3 hours already. Time check, 25 seconds.
25 seconds. In some world.
Right.
In some world, yes. All right. I do want to respect the time. So thank you very much for taking the time out of your day and scheduling with me. I love the conversation. I think people will find much benefit from that.
I just really enjoyed, and let me know when is a good time and we get together.
Yep.
Cool, man.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Vinaya, it was great meeting you. I'm looking forward to continuing that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great to meet you. Thank you so
All right,
much.
brother.